And I know some people might think, oh, it's like, that's a bit intrusive to have that be like public information talking about. Hello, fellow Aussians, and welcome to the channel. Today, we are talking about the latest issue of the Baum Bugle. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Baum Bugle is, it is a publication from the International Wizard of Oz Club. And in order to get the Bugle, you have to become a member of the Oz Club. If you'd like to become a member, I provided a link down below to ozclub.org. The publication is printed triannually with a spring, autumn, and winter issue. This particular issue that we're looking at is the spring issue from 2024, volume 68, number 1. The cover art here shows different illustrations done by Dale Ulrey. The back also shows another illustration from the same artist. And for those of you who don't know who Dale Ulrey is, she illustrated 2 Oz books back in the 1950s. And her books were the first, by Riley and Lee, that featured new illustrations that were not done by John R. Neal. Riley and Lee selected her to illustrate all of the Oz books, but unfortunately, due to sales not being so high on those 2 books that I showed you, her illustrations for the future Oz books were canceled. Such a shame, as her illustrations are really nice. The cancellation of the future books certainly had nothing to deal with her artistic skill. It has an interesting mix of John R. Neal, but slightly updated to the 1950s, if that kind of makes sense. The article in the Bugle goes into detail about her life. And up until this point, she really has been an enigma in the Oz world as far as the illustrators are concerned, because we knew nothing about her. And the article that's in the Bugle is pretty lengthy. It takes up almost half of this issue. So if you are interested in finding out more about this illustrator, believe me, the article goes into detail on stuff that, like, I was just kind of, the article gives you the details. Now, while of course this isn't a full-on biography, it sure is pretty darn close. Outside of the Oz books, I really didn't know what other art or books or anything that she really did. And it's pretty neat to find out, at least in the article, that she was a cartoonist for a couple different comic strips before she did the Oz books. The article is filled with different artwork that Dale did, not only those cartoons that I mentioned, but also personal different portraits of family members and friends. One of the things that's really neat about this particular article is that while unfortunately Dale is no longer with us, the article is just filled with different quotes from Dale herself that come from different letters that still exist that Dale wrote to family and friends. And it's gotta be one of the coolest things that I've read in recent years that's come from the Bugle, since the Oz Club never interviewed her. We finally get to hear Dale speaking about her life. And she was definitely loved and admired by a lot of different people. One of the things that I will say about it that it really kind of just made me think about different aspects of my own life, in how we've all sort of lost the art of just writing a letter to people. While I know that we all text each other and send messages on different social media outlets, it's not quite the same thing as a physical, letter to someone. And it just kind of made me wonder, as far as, 50, 100 years from now, what kinds of things will be left that we might leave for other people to find out about us. And it just kind of made me wonder about that, because the article also features quotes from different newspapers that also talked about Dale. And that's another thing that we've also lost, our local newspapers actually talking about local news. And I know some people might think, oh, it's like, that's a bit intrusive to have that be like public information talking about people's private lives. But I will say, as far as research is concerned, it certainly gives us an insight into different aspects of Dale's life that we otherwise wouldn't know. So it just kind of makes me wonder, as far as our own lives are concerned right now, what people 100 years will be able to glean from whatever information is still available. That's not to say that all of these social media platforms will still be available 100 years from now. Who knows? But it certainly made me think about that in relation to this article. As much as I loved this article, I don't want to spoil a lot of it, because there are a lot of really great things in here. The biggest takeaway that I really had about Dale was just about how resilient of a person she was. She had a pretty dramatic changes in her life as far as financially and where she lived and the circumstances. And it's amazing to see how she was really high, really lows, and she just kept going. Amazing. She sounds like she was an amazing person. And I'm so glad this got written. Really glad this got written so we could find out a little bit more about Dale Ulrey. The Bugle, as usual, also comes with the extras of the Oz Gazette and the Kid Crafts. But the one thing that I really wanted to point out is that there's also included a brochure for this year's International Wizard of Oz Club Convention in Charlotte, North Carolina. And if you have not heard about this convention, I will leave a link down below. It sounds like it's going to be amazing. Definitely something you don't want to miss. If you are interested in attending and finding out about prices and all of those hotels and things like that, follow the link down below. And that, of course, is just a little bit of what's included in this particular issue of the Baum Bugle. If you are interested in getting this issue and any future or past issues, please follow the link to ozclub.org and join the International Wizard of Oz Club. And if you liked that video, please give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe. New videos are posted every 2 weeks on the 15th and last day of each month. And if that doesn't satisfy your appetite for Oz, follow the link in the description to ozclub.org and join the International Wizard of Oz Club. Until next time, bye y'all.